Happy Monday. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish. Great to be back with you as we recap the Masters. What a great weekend it was. Sitting back, watching some golf. We'll recap Rory McIlroy's back-to-back championships here on NewsWire on this Monday edition of the show. But naturally, we'll also have a collision course with the NBA playoffs, and the play-in games are just hours away. Gilbert McGregor will join us, courtesy of Phoenix Sports, to talk about what could potentially happen in the playoffs coming up later this week. Also, Jared Hochman will be with us. We'll look at today's evening slate in Major League Baseball. And guess who else is getting ready for the big event? That's Kevin Walsh. We'll see if Kevin is still getting in shape for his upcoming wedding this weekend. What else is there to talk about? Kevin's getting married. I don't care about sports. Got to hear everything that he's doing, getting ready for his big event this weekend. All right, let's get started here. And yes, we start off with Augusta. Rory McIlroy takes the Masters. Looked like a foregone conclusion going into the weekend. Things did get a little bit dicey for him late, especially on 18, but he becomes the fourth golfer ever to win the Masters 2 times, and he wins it back-to-back for the first time since Tiger Woods did in 2001 and 2002. Who did Rory McIlroy edge? Well, it was Scottie Scheffler with that late charge. Scottie finished second, and then you had a 4-way tie with Cam Young, Russell Henley, Justin Rose, and Tyrrell Hatton, all finishing 10 under par. But naturally, after winning the Masters the first time last year, no one thought it would be possible for Rory to take the second one in a row. Here he is, accepting his green jacket and his conversation after winning.
What do you think this tournament and this golf course has taught you about life?
Good things come to those who wait, maybe. Just keep going. I find myself in a very similar position today to where I was in the last round last year, 2 or 3 behind. But I played solid golf after that. I was 4 under for a 11-hole stretch there, which is what I needed to do to give myself that cushion going up the last. And I just tried really hard to focus on myself. I thought if I could get to 14 under, I thought that everyone else would struggle to get to that score, so that was the number I had in my head. I got to 13 on the last, and had that 2-shot cushion, so didn't quite get there. But just keep going. Just keep your head down and keep going. And if you put the hours in and you work on the right things, eventually it'll come good for you.
Great weekend for Rory. Meanwhile, Scottie Scheffler looks like he will participate in this coming week's tournament, the RBC Heritage Open. We'll preview that coming up later in the week. Rory, of course, will take some time off. All right, also taking some time off in the NBA. Is this the end of the coaching era for Doc Rivers, who's coached basically a third of the league at this point? He is departing as head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, according to ESPN. 32-50 season for Milwaukee, and the Bucks are looking for their 3rd head coach in the last 3 years. Doc, of course, one of the best coaches ever, probably in the history of the NBA. Some people feel yes, some people feel no. I mean, the numbers don't lie, but I don't know. Doc coaches again. We will have to see. All right, let's take a look at the Eastern Conference. We've got the playoffs all set here. Of course, the play-in games are later this week. The 8th seed will take on Detroit. They're the number 1. The Celtics are number 2. Hawks, Knicks coming up, 6-3. Raptors, Cavs, 5-4. And in the East, the Magic will play the 76ers 8 versus 7, and the Miami Heat will take on the Charlotte Hornets. Out West, the 8th seed will take on Oklahoma City. The Spurs got the 2. They'll await the 7. Denver takes on Minnesota. The Rockets play the Lakers, and the 4 play-in teams in the West are Portland, Phoenix, Golden State, and LA. The reason why the Orlando Magic are headed toward the play-in is they couldn't capitalize on the Boston Celtics basically handing them the game yesterday. Boston didn't start Tatum. They didn't start Brown. They didn't even play some of their top starters. Celtics still win. They beat the Magic 113 to 108. Orlando was 13.5-point favorites in this game, and they still couldn't win. Baylor Shireman had a career-high 30 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. Wow, what a disappointment for Jamal Mosley and his Magic as they fall to the 8th seed.
8 players available tonight. How do you explain what happened?
You got to give them a ton of credit. Those 8 players played hard. They played their hearts out. They played together. They moved it. They shared it. And they made a ton of shots. Some of that was given to them by us. We turned that ball over 19 times for 23 points. That's part of it. Again, they had a ton of shot making going on, and then us turning it over was a part of that big cause.
I know you're still digesting this game, but what could you say about Philadelphia having to go there in the 7-8 play-in game?
Yeah, I mean, this is the opportunity right now, and that's all we can do. You can't control what happened in this game tonight. This one is done, and so you got to make sure you focus your time and attention and energy all on the Philadelphia 76ers right now.
I believe right now the Magic are just trying to get through this season. Doesn't appear they're going anywhere. Nets didn't go anywhere. And by the way, couldn't cover a 23.5-point spread last night. You kidding me? Raptors beat the Nets 136-101 in one of the biggest point spreads of the season. Scotty Barnes had 18 points, and now the Raptors have clinched the 5 seed in the East. Here's Darko Rajkakovic on the Raptors getting a higher seed in the 5 than they had just a few nights ago.
Boston beating Orlando, that we're going to be the 5th seed. Obviously, that was not, we never set a goal of, get this seed or that seed. We were just focusing on our work, focusing on things that are in our control. And, the hands played out well for us this year. We won 46 games, 16 games more than last season. We saw a lot of growth from this roster, and the best part of it is that we're going to have opportunity to play in the playoffs. And as much as all of those games meant to put us in the playoffs, it's going to be an amazing experience for our team to go in the playoffs. And we're just going to take one game at a time as well. So our mentality is not going to change. We're going to try to win one game and then to win this next game and see where we end up.
Good regular season for Toronto, not so much for the Miami Heat, although they did win their final game of the regular season. They beat Atlanta 143-117, so Miami is the 10 seed coming up in the play-in games. If Miami wins, they have a shot to go deep in the playoffs. If they lose, they would get the 12th pick in the draft. So that's what fans are weighing right now, what is worth it for Miami at this point. We know the Heat are going to fight, and they've been a play-in team before and come out of that and done very well. So Eric Spoelstra says there's some track record here to potentially go far.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it is like the NCAA tournament. It's like FIBA. It's harrowing. It's nuts. You have to absolutely embrace it. It makes you feel alive. That's for sure. If you're a competitor, you don't want to have to go. Like you don't want the season to go the way it can to put you in the play-in, but once you're in it, it's exhilarating, and you have to embrace the competition, embrace how every single possession really does matter. It's a game 7, and so I just want our guys to take on that challenge, and do whatever is necessary, to get that one. You can't think ahead of it. You can't think of 2 up, 2 down. You have to stay in the absolute present moment of every single possession.
And the Heat will play the Hornets, who played very well in the second half of the season. In fact, Charlotte beat New York last night, 110-96. So the Hornets are the 9 seed taking on Miami in that play-in. Nuggets took care of the 3rd seed by beating the Spurs 128-118. Jokic had 23 points. He only played 18 minutes. All right, over to Major League Baseball. A ton of sweeps this weekend in Major League Baseball, like across the board. The Mariners beat the Astros 6-1, so they swept behind Logan Gilbert's 7 innings pitched. The A's beat the Mets 1-0. They swept New York. Nick Kurtz hit his first home run of the season. The Rays swept the Yankees 5-4 final yesterday. Drew Rasmussen, 6 innings pitched and 7 strikeouts. Aaron Judge went 1 for 3 with a home run. He also drove in 2 runs as well. The Brewers were swept by the Washington Nationals, and Christian Yelich left the game with an injury. Shocking, of course, to see Washington do that. And how about Jose Soriano becoming baseball's first 4-game winner of 2026? 7 innings pitched, 10 strikeouts. Right now, Soriano has been the American League's best pitcher without a doubt. Coming up next, we preview the upcoming NBA playoffs with Gilbert McGregor. Don't go away. Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Craig Mish here, joined by Gilbert McGregor of Phoenix Sports. And as Gilbert knows, it's better in your market to be covering a winning team. And Gilbert has a chance to cover a team and get this team at least another week or two into the NBA season. Trust me, Gilbert, I have been there before. And welcome to the show here. And certainly we're going to get into the Suns playing Portland tomorrow night. And the team that I used to cover for many, many years also plays tomorrow night as well. So we'll break that down. Gilbert, let's take a look at the seedings here. What are your initial thoughts? I feel like other than very slight jockeying a little bit, that this was kind of set up maybe weeks ago. Like, not set up meaning that the NBA set it up, meaning like, the teams were kind of locked in. Very interested to see a potential West final with Oklahoma City and San Antonio, because I don't think that it's a foregone conclusion that OKC would win that. And then over in the East, naturally, with Tatum coming back for Boston, and not knowing the status of Cunningham, I feel like this could be Boston's in the East again.
It does feel like the Celtics are primed to make a big run in the Eastern Conference. They just seem like the best team and the most talented team, especially knowing that Detroit hasn't necessarily been there before and done it before. Last year, they got a lot of experience in their first round series against the Knicks, so they'll be better this year. But when you talk about the playoff bracket, my eyes go straight to the middle on both sides. That 4-5 matchup in the West, you've got the Lakers, who are dealing with every injury under the sun, against the Houston Rockets, and then that 3-6 matchup with the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. And then the Eastern Conference, Cavaliers, Raptors, and then Knicks, Hawks. The Hawks are a sneaky good team. They've been playing really good basketball. Jalen Johnson is a matchup nightmare for just about any team, and they figured things out. And then you talk about the Cavaliers and the Raptors. The Raptors are very fortunate to have avoided the Knicks, but they've had a tough time beating any good team. So when you think about how those matchups then kind of go on moving forward, that winner of that 4-5 matchup will probably play the Thunder in the second round. And you could potentially get a Nuggets-Spurs series in the second round as well. So that could really shape the way things go in the Western Conference. Not saying the Thunder will have an easy path or an easier path, but things kind of worked out in their favor.
Definitely. So let's preview the team that you'll be working on closely with here, and that's the Phoenix Suns. And they're in a play-in situation against a team that they should beat, against the Portland Trailblazers. There are 3.5, 4.5 point favorites I've seen all over the map. Naturally, this just got announced yesterday. The game is tomorrow night. The game is in Phoenix, and the winner will play San Antonio, and the loser is going to have to lose to Oklahoma City. So, I mean, I don't think that the Suns want that. I mean, I'm sorry to say that OKC is not going to get challenged, I don't think, until the end. So kind of important here, I would say, for Phoenix to get this one done.
Super important, and it's not going to be easy. This is the Trailblazers team. I believe they finished the season winning 7 of their last 10 games, and they're a very deep team. Nobody really expected them to be at this point, especially thinking about how their seasons began in turmoil. Your coach is being arrested by the FBI. You bring in a backup coach, and he leads this team to 42 wins. That's no small feat. Denny Avdia is their all-star, but they have a lot of size with Robert Williams III and Donovan Clingan starting in the front court, and then a lot of perimeter defenders with Drew Holiday, a 2-time champion, Toumani Camara, who actually was drafted by the Suns a couple years ago, but traded before he ever suited up for a game. So this is a very, very good Portland Trailblazers team. It won't be easy, but the Suns are a team who are finally at full strength. We think they haven't been healthy all season, but they've gotten Dylan Brooks back in the lineup. Devin Booker's gotten a rest over these last 2 games. And I think the big thing, especially in playoff games that are Game 7-like situations, who has the best player? And Devin Booker should be the best player in this game.
So Wednesday night is the other Western Conference play-in, and it's interesting to me, Gilbert, that the start of the season, it looked like Golden State was going to make a run towards something this season, and then things just went so far south for them. Clippers played better, but not good enough to get them out of this situation that they're in, taking on the Warriors Wednesday night as 4.5 point favorites, total of 220.5. I just don't know which Clippers team shows up, but if the good one shows up, Gilbert, Warriors are in deep trouble here.
Absolutely. And it starts with that man on the screen. Kawhi Leonard is a guy who we've seen in these types of situations step up and lead their team. Now, Steph Curry has done the same thing. He's working his way back into the lineup after an injury, but we've seen him show signs of still being Steph Curry, even at 38 years old, even after playing through injury or dealing with a knee injury. Runner's knee is what he's dealing with. I lean Clippers in this game just because of the type of defenders that Chris Dunn's, the guys that can throw at Steph Curry and make life difficult for him. The X factor, I think, for LA will be Darius Garland and Benedict Mathurin, 2 guys that they acquired midseason. Can they step up and play big in this role in a postseason-like situation? But I just don't think the Warriors will have enough. Steph Curry has been great. Steph Curry is Steph Curry. But after that, who were you going to get from? And it's the question of who's going to step up.
Yeah, Phoenix is overwhelmingly favored to get into this thing. They're minus 600, by the way, over on FanDuel, followed by Portland at minus 310, the Clippers plus 225, the Warriors at plus 350. All right, let's get to Saturday's showdown between the Timberwolves and Denver Nuggets. We've got the Nuggets minus 330, Timberwolves plus 265, Gilbert. Nuggets overwhelmingly favored.
I like the Nuggets in this series. You think about injuries. Anthony Edwards dealing with the same knee injury that Steph Curry had, the runner's knee. So how well will he play? How available will he be in that series? And then the Nuggets have Nikola Jokic, and he's always the guy who makes a difference.
Saturday, the Rockets start their series with the Lakers. They're one of the biggest favorites going into the first round of the NBA playoffs. And, of course, we're supposed to get a Luka Doncic update, I believe, tomorrow, Gilbert. But if that update just simply says he's out, I don't think the Lakers stand a chance in round one.
Sounds about right. We've seen Luka Doncic enter the playoffs with injury before, that couple years ago when Dallas made that deep run, but he missed the first 2 games, I believe, of the first round and then came in. So if they can get him midway through the series, they'll have a chance, but it's going to be really hard to see them getting a win in these first 2 games without Luka Doncic.
All right, let's pivot over to the NBA Finals. And naturally, the Oklahoma City Thunder are as big a favorite as you're going to find going into the NBA playoffs. They're plus 115, followed by the Spurs because the Spurs had their number during the regular season. In the East, you've got Boston there. The odds makers are telling us it's either Boston or no one in the East, but the West could be the tougher conference going into the playoffs. Is that your opinion also?
I believe so. It's going to be a gauntlet for whoever makes it out of the Western Conference. Denver's odds being as low as they are kind of surprise you because I do think having Nikola Jokic does help you, and we've seen this team do it before with a lot of the guys and a lot of members of that cast. So that could be a value play, but it certainly does feel like a crash course leading toward Oklahoma City and Boston in the NBA Finals.
All right, we'll take a quick time out here on NewsWire. We'll be right back with more, so make sure you stay with us here on the grid as we continue to discuss some NBA playoffs and get into some Major League Baseball as well. You can also download the SportsGrid app for your iPhone or Android. Just take out your phone, scan that QR code. You're all set. We'll be back with more right after this timeout. Don't go away.
Process is closed. Let's call it out for this, right? And is it their fault? You could, they've been just besieged at Embiid, but it just continues, Kevin, right? As soon as he's like, don't worry about my health, and then here we are, right? I would have traded him a couple of years ago. I would have gotten ahead of the curve, Kevin.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
For those people who use YouTube, there's a new feature that is powered by AI. And what is this exactly, Simon?
So let's say you're watching Yankees highlights, and you can say, YouTube, when is the next game at Yankee Stadium? You see that information on the screen. How much is the cost? What seats are available? You see that information on the screen. All right, call the Yankee Stadium box office. I want to make a reservation for 2 tickets.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Am I going overboard when I'm saying that? I've never seen anything like this.
He's damn good, and it seems like he has an extra focus on pitching. I saw him pitch with the Angels and hit with the Angels, and it seemed like hitting was what he was trying to prove. Maybe because guys like John Smoltz would come out and said, "Oh, he should be a pitcher only."
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Shocking reality, I think, for college basketball. Certainly the purists to see a legendary school struggle to land a current college heavyweight. But this is the new world order. Mike Malone is either going to be the greatest hire in modern college basketball history, or North Carolina is going to be conducting another incredibly expensive coaching search in the next couple of seasons.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. As far as the Eastern Conference play-in games, let's get a quick preview of those Tuesday and Wednesday. Gilbert McGregor stays with us as he'll be watching these games tomorrow. And, certainly this is the one that I'll have my eye on here, although I do think the Miami Heat season, Gilbert, is coming to an end here. I don't see any other indication. Just look at the Miami Heat's last month of basketball, Gilbert. Like a couple of wins against teams that didn't care. My gosh, Hornets 5.5-point favorites tomorrow. Very disappointing season for Miami, to say the least. And Charlotte has played some really good basketball over the last couple of months, too. I think if Charlotte started off the season the way they finished it, they probably wouldn't even be in the spot. Maybe they would be the 6th seed or the 5 seed. So not a lot of optimism here, Gilbert, in South Florida. But it is the Heat, and you never know because we've said this before. And then they find a way. Feels different, though, this time around.
It is interesting to see it this time around. And you mentioned not a lot of optimism in South Florida. Well, having my roots back in the Carolinas, I know there's a lot of optimism around this Hornets team who, as you mentioned, Craig, has been playing great basketball since the turn of the new year. They got healthy and they figured things out. And it's tough to say you win 44 games and you're the 9th seed in your conference, but that's a credit to the Eastern Conference. It has been a long time since there's been postseason basketball in Charlotte, I think 10 years. So there's going to be a starved, loud crowd in Charlotte tomorrow night. And I do expect them to ride that. But the question is the pressure going to be too much for this team? This is a team who has not, or franchise hasn't been in the playoffs in 10 years. The last time they were in the playoffs was against this same Heat franchise. So I'm curious to see how a Brandon Miller, a Con Knipple, guys who have not played in the postseason before. Now, LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges have played in the play-in tournament before, but this is a very young Hornets team and a young head coach who's in his 2nd season as well. So anytime you have Eric Spoelstra, you have some type of advantage on the sideline. So it should be an interesting chess match between these two teams.
All right, maybe the Heat covers at least the 5.5 points there. Okay, so boy, this to me is the toughest one of the 4 to call here because Orlando is the better team between Orlando and Philadelphia on paper and everywhere else. I do believe that. But how can you possibly trust Orlando at this point? And then on the Philadelphia side, without Embiid, this is not a really good team either. I mean, whoever wins this game is going to lose. I actually give Miami or Charlotte a better chance to win some games in the first round. I can't see anything coming from Orlando or Philadelphia, so I'm taking the coin. I'm flipping it to you, Gilbert, for this one.
It's interesting. It's hard to have any confidence in the Magic after they lost the way they lost yesterday with a lot of stakes on the line against the Boston team who was resting everybody. And you mentioned the 76ers aren't healthy, no Joel Embiid, but they do have a lot of wild cards with the Paul George, with the VJ Edgecombe, obviously Tyrese Maxey being the guy on that team. I have a little more confidence in the 76ers. Home game, a very raucous crowd. We know how fans can be in Philadelphia, get an extra day because of a Flyers type of thing that was going on. I think the Flyers have a game tomorrow, so they couldn't play tomorrow. So they'll have an extra day of rest. I like the 76ers in this game.
Okay, fair enough. Now, let's go around the league real quick, Gilbert, while we have you here. End has come again for Doc Rivers, who, I mean, honestly, I can't even name all the teams that he's coaching. That he's coached. I just can't do it. It's been too many. I said a third of the league. I don't know if that means like 10, but he's definitely had 5 or 6. And it just seemed as though the Bucks are looking at this. It's like, hey, Doc, you're probably a future Hall of Famer. Let's just part ways here so no blood is shed. The Bucks have to bring in obviously whoever Giannis wants in order to keep him there, because Gilbert, it is super dangerous. If they lose Giannis, the Bucks may never get a player ever again in the history of their franchise like Giannis, because nobody wants to sign with Milwaukee. We've seen this through the years.
And even if they did, it might take another generation to get when you talk about a franchise that had Kareem a long time ago and eventually get Giannis, I guess, 40 years later. But thinking about that, I almost kind of feel like that pairing is bound to end regardless. It's been so much mixed messaging with Giannis and this franchise. He wants to play. He wants to go. He wants to leave. He's curious what's out there. He wants to remain loyal. And it kind of feels like they need to just rip the Band-Aid off and say, look, what do you want to do? Make a decision, and we're going to work around that, because he could garner a big trade return. I think there'll be a lot of teams willing to make that type of trade for him this offseason. I don't necessarily know if there's a coach out there that could mend what's going on. But I think the biggest thing, they need to focus on the best coach for their franchise. Giannis is going to be 32 this year, so he's closer to the end than he is to the beginning. Still one of the top 5 players in the league, but I think they need to start thinking big picture for life after Giannis, which is going to probably come in the next 5 years, if not the next 5 months.
My prediction, I don't know who's going to coach the Bucks. My prediction, it's been somebody who got fired in the NBA the last 2 years. I don't know. Somebody. Monty Williams, does that sound like a name that probably could be the coach?
It could happen. It could happen.
I'm good, Gilbert. I'm good. I'm getting there, right? Just find me give me the list of the coaches fired the last 2 years, and that'll be on Milwaukee.
Exactly.
You never find anybody new. It's always the same guys.
Retreads.
All right. Thanks again, Gilbert. We'll catch up. Hopefully your Suns advance. We can catch up again and talk about that. Thanks again.
Sounds good. Take care, Craig.
The fact that we are seeing now multiple states propose, not just prop bet bans, but getting rid of online sports betting altogether really shows kind of the pushback that the industry is facing right now, and kind of the crisis it has to make sure in the public spotlight that it's being viewed accurately, and that it's working with lawmakers on common sense proposals.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Quickly learning that even though the Jays, Brady went to the World Series last year, they're not like one of those automatic teams. Like I consider the Yankees automatic, Dodgers automatic. That really might be it. Maybe not even the Mets. Just like think teams you can kind of count on. They're not going to lose to Colorado. They're not going to lose to the White Sox. Those type of teams.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Scotty Scheffler, the best golfer in the world. How many majors will he win this year? And if he does get 4, Joe, that's currently trading at 3 cents. So a $100 investment actually only pays back $333 at this point, which is kind of insane when you ask him to win all 4. Joe, I told you already, sticking to my guns. $100 investment on no majors. None over the next 4 this year.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
You build teams in the second, third, and fourth round, right, Donnie? Yeah. That's where you build. That's where you get the depth. That's where you build the team. So teams looking for draft capital very much could be alive and well in this draft coming up, because there's just nobody to mortgage the future for, because you need your franchise guy. They're just not in this draft.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. We have one afternoon baseball game today, 4:10 Eastern, Houston and Seattle. I guess they're playing a wraparound series, but Seattle has won the first 3 games of that series. They'll finish off today at 4:10 Eastern. Rest of the games under the lights. Let's bring in Jared Hochman for the games under the lights tonight to get a preview, courtesy of Covers. He joins us now here, and certainly the Yankees, Jared, as we start off with them, they're thrilled to get the Los Angeles Angels in town, but how thrilled should they be? They're not scoring runs. They just got swept by the Rays, and somehow this total is 9.5 tonight in a game where the Yankees can't score, and the Angels are actually pitching well. It's Kikuchi and Warren. Those are the 2 starters tonight, and I suppose, look, this is the Yankees' back-end starter, so I certainly get that. But, man, for a team that's struggling to score outside of Judge coming through in the end, what is to look forward tonight to the Yankees?
Not much, Craig. As a Yankees fan, too, that minus 196 also seems a little bit high, because like you said, they cannot hit, and anyone is a threat to go right now. I wouldn't be very confident for the team in pinstripes. That's why actually my favorite play is for Angels starter Yusei Kikuchi to go over his strikeout total of 5.5. You can get it at plus money at some outlets, which to me seems a little bit crazy. He's kind of increased his total each game, and he's got 8 in his last one against the Braves. But it's, for me, Craig, it's about the Yankees. They've lost 5 of 6. And the opposing starting pitcher has gotten 6+ strikeouts 5 times in that span. Judge is hitting a little bit from Bellinger, maybe, but the bottom of the order is contributing next to nothing. The top half is only slightly better. And the reality is the Yankees, they have the 5th highest strikeout rate against left-handed pitchers tonight. They might be excited to face the Angels, but I don't think Kikuchi is going to make it that fun for them, at least to kick off this series.
Yeah, hasn't looked good offensively. Feels like the Yankee season is the same every year. It's just this offensive slump at some point. They wake up, they make the playoffs. So let's go to Red Sox Twins here because the Red Sox, man, they needed a win yesterday. They got one against the Cardinals, and the Twins have been surprisingly good to start this season. But the odds are telling us that Boston could potentially win tonight. They're minus 168, total of 7.5. Twins have been one of the nice surprises in baseball. No one pegged them for even sniffing 500, but they've done much better than that. Does Boston continue to get on the right track here, Jared, or do you think that it's just a little fool's gold from what we saw yesterday?
I like Boston tonight. You've got a great pitching matchup for them, an advantage with Garrett Crochet against Bailey Ober. So I do like kind of the Red Sox there. I'm again targeting more of a player prop here. I'm looking at Boston's Wilson Contreras, 2+ hits plus runs plus RBIs, right around minus 105, even money. He's red hot. He's cashed this prop in 8 of his last 10 games. He's hitting 389 with 11 RBIs and 7 runs in that span. So he's doing it all across the board. And the thing is, you might be worried because Bailey Ober they're facing is a righty, same side thing, not an issue. Contreras hitting 379 off righties in that span. And you look at Ober, this is the big difference. He's off to a rough start. He's got a 5.27 ERA, but he also has reverse platoon splits. Righties are hitting 310 off him. So it's not like he's getting the same side of guys out. One of my colleagues, Josh Ingles, actually loves the over here, thinks Boston does the heavy lifting. So kind of keeping with that same idea, I think against Contreras play a big part tonight in the Red Sox putting another win on the board.
Speaking of rare, I don't think I've seen the Dodgers less than minus 200 in any game this season. Maybe this is the very first one, and they're taking on a Mets team that just can't score as well. I mean, this is really going around the league. No one can score. It's just the early part of the season. The Mets got swept by the A's. Tonight, they got to take on the Dodgers, where David Peterson will start for New York. Justin Wrobleski will start for LA. Total of 8.5. Of course, as long as Ohtani and this lineup is still going for LA, I don't see how they don't score runs. But this, I guess, leaves the door open slightly for a team to win. How can you back the Mets, though, after losing to the A's like that 3 games in a row?
I would say, Craig, you can't back the Mets. I'm not going to back the Mets. And you said no one can score. Well, it's no one except for the Dodgers. The Dodgers can score because they are who we thought they are. They're averaging just over 6 runs a game. They're hitting 290 as a team. And that is crazy because the second best average in the league is 15 points behind them. Like I said, that lineup is slugging. They're crushing everything. I would be backing the Dodgers on the run line here, actually. But my favorite play is the Dodgers team total over 4.5 at minus 125. I think this is a little low considering they're facing David Peterson. And Peterson had a decent start in his opening day, struggled the last 2. He's given up 11 runs on 15 hits, just 9 in the third inning. You talk about the LA lineup, from Ohtani and, Freddie Freeman and Will Smith is back, and they've got Kyle Tucker and all these things. They just keep slugging everyone. I don't see the Mets putting up any runs to keep up with them either. So if you want to take the run line, the money line too, another one I kind of like if you want to juice this up a little bit more, get the Dodgers and be the first team to score 5 runs. Same idea as the team total is they'll score 5 before the Mets do. You can get that around plus 115. So you get, kind of 30, 40 cents of extra value here. That'd be all over the Dodgers here tonight because also this number seems a little low. And I'm not sure why the Mets are getting this much respect. Wind's blowing out to right field in LA too. So the offense should be definitely in play.
Yeah, Freeman and Tucker left-handed also as well. Also, as Jared mentioned, he likes Wilson Contreras, who's been really hot for Boston, over 1.5 hits and runs and RBIs. That's minus 105. Contreras has done a fantastic job for Boston thus far. All right, so Jared, before you go, let's talk a little baseball here for you. And again, you're following the odds and the lines very closely. What's been the biggest surprise for you so far? I mean, outside of what I mentioned is, I look at these pitching matchups every day, Jared, and I see this guy's ERA is 1.7, and he's taking on a guy whose ERA is 2.5. Like the league is just not hit yet, as you said, outside of LA.
And well, also, I think one of the big things, people aren't hitting that many home runs. That's kind of thing. I don't have the official stat, but I know home runs per game are very much down over the past few years. And as you've seen the way baseball has gone, everything is about launch angles and everything is about hitting home runs. You don't have as many people looking to hit, for contact and get on base other than, Chandler Simpson, who's having a great throwback to start the year. But when you have a bunch of batters that don't really try to get hits, they try to get home runs and not people aren't hitting home runs, well, then you're going to see a lot of the lower kind of scores. So I think right now, as long as the power outage kind of exists a little bit around baseball, I continue to look at a lot of kind of team unders or really kind of isolate chances to bet overs when you've got bad pitchers pitching, like or pitchers that are struggling. Is kind of where I'm at with this. But yeah, it's really surprising that you're not getting a lot of offense right now, and I think it's because we're not getting those big long flies that should come as the weather heats up a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, Chase DeLauder started off with 5 home runs, and that's like kind of the number at this point. A lot of guys just aren't hitting home runs to start the season. Jared, in terms of disappointments, I mean, we can go in a number of different directions. I'll share mine, and then, certainly I'd love yours. But for me, and again, I guess it's disappointment because I think it can continue. My disappointment would be Houston. I'm very concerned with the Astros already losing Hunter Brown and losing Imai, and then with an older sort of offensive lineup, Correa, Altuve. I think maybe the ship has finally sailed on the Astros after 10 years of really being incredible. How about you? Biggest disappointment?
Yeah, I mean, the Astros are a great one there, but for me, it's actually, last time I was on here, I was really touting how much I love the potential for the Blue Jays to get a hot start. And they really, really fell on their face and disappointed me. I mean, they lost, 5 of 6 to the Rockies and the White Sox. They're another team that cannot hit right now. They're struggling. Springer just got hurt. The pitching staff and the bullpen has been a little issue. Again, plenty of time. And we remember the Blue Jays last year, they were in last place in May, I think, something like that. And they kind of turned it around. So there is time. And thankfully, the AL East hasn't been great. But I mean, I really expected them to come out of the gates hot with really, really good matchups and opportunities. And they just have not really done it on any facet of baseball right now.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, the thing is, Jared, is that it's highly unusual to see this amount of sweeps going into a weekend. But the other part of it, too, is the amount of losing streaks that we've seen to start the season. I mentioned Houston. We mentioned New York. And, of course, the Blue Jays did not get off to a good start as well. But I would guess that those things sort of normalize because every team's going to lose 4 or 5 games in a row over the course of the season, just magnified now.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the nature of baseball, right? Players, teams, they always come close. But it looks a lot worse, when you start 0 for 13 or you start 2 for 15, right? You don't have any other numbers. 2 for 15 when you've had, 150 at bats already, the numbers don't kind of stand out as much right now, and again, if we're really paying attention to everything so closely. So there's a lot of overreaction potential. Blue Jays do concern me. The injuries are starting to pile up. I mean, the Yankees concern me because it's the same team as last year. So I don't know if we're going to magically see a lot come around. Mets, they've lost Juan Soto right now. But like you said, the Astros, a lot of injuries. Not sure where they're going to get that back from. Yordan Alvarez has been great too. So not sure where that extra umph comes from in these teams.
Yeah, me, the Mets looks like are bringing in Tommy Pham. That could be their answer. I see a report there today. All right, thanks again, Jared. Really appreciate it. We'll catch up again soon.
No problem.
Be right back.
That we are seeing now multiple states propose, not just prop bet bans, but getting rid of online sports betting altogether really shows kind of the pushback that the industry is facing right now and kind of the crisis it has to make sure in the public spotlight that it's being viewed accurately and that it's working with lawmakers on, common sense proposals.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Learning that even though the Jays, Brady went to the World Series last year, they're not like one of those automatic teams. Like I consider the Yankees automatic, Dodgers automatic. That really might be it. Maybe not even the Mets. Just like think teams you can kind of count on. They're not going to lose to Colorado. They're not going to lose to the White Sox. Those type of teams.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Scotty Scheffler, the best golfer in the world. How many majors will he win this year? And if he does get 4, Joe, that's currently trading at 3 cents. So a $100 investment actually only pays back $333 at this point, which is kind of insane when you ask him to win all 4. Joe, I told you already, sticking to my guns. $100 investment on no majors. None over the next 4 this year.
Prediction Markets Edge. Only on SportsGrid.
You build teams in the second, third, and fourth round, right, Donnie? Yeah. That's where you build. That's where you get the depth. That's where you build the team. So teams looking for draft capital very much could be alive and well in this draft coming up because there's just nobody to mortgage the future for because you need your franchise guy. They're just not in this draft.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to NewsWire here on Sports Grid. It's a very, very big week because upcoming this week, we've got Kevin Walsh, who is going to be departing us for a few days to consummate his wedding vows. Very excited to break that down for you here on the show. Kevin, I mean, are you nervous? I mean, you're just days away now. I mean, it's like the Super Bowl, the March Madness. It's like the Stanley Cup. It's the big day. Are you ready? We're closing in on it here.
That have to be done. So I got to just make sure I stay on my toes and get things done. I have a bit of a, sit back and relax nature to me, Craig, that sometimes doesn't play,
I hear you.
During this kind of window. But we're off and running. I'm very excited.
Yeah, we are too, and we'll check in with Kevin this week, and certainly wish him all the best this weekend. But before that, Kevin, of course, is a sicko and with sports, so he's going to be watching the WNBA draft tonight. Didn't even know that existed, but I do know that tomorrow night. Well, I'm skipping that. Sorry, Ken. Tomorrow night, we're going to the play-in games in the National Basketball Association, and here in South Florida, Kevin, it's been an incredibly disappointing Miami Heat season to the point that this is the first time I can ever recall the Heat playing in a play-in or playing in a playoff game where I see a lot of fans wanting them to lose to try to get a higher pick in the draft. I'm sort of shocked to see that because of the success that they've had in the past. They're getting 5.5 points tomorrow against Charlotte. Are we counting the Heat out here, Kevin? Is it over? Is their season kaput tomorrow night?
So I think so, but the thing with this Miami team, and I think why fans feel that way, is they really do feel gutless. It gets thrown around, but I think there are certain groups you don't expect to ever hear that word associated with. And what I know is the Bam Adebayo 83-point game all just felt a little bit maybe distant from who they are. And what I know is this is a team who then lost a bunch of games and sometimes to teams they had no business losing to. They had a game against the Boston Celtics where they scored 129 points at home and almost lost by 20. You have 53 points in the first quarter. It's a Miami team who has not, maybe at any point all year, Craig, shown the fight, heart, defensive capability to climb from the 10 up to what would be the 8 seed. And I think because of that, the fans are understandably interested in a bit of a reset, and maybe that includes a willingness to trade every single player that's on the roster.
Could be. I mean, that could be where the Heat is headed. Charlotte, of course, had a very, very nice finish to their season. Same questions, I guess, are probably going on in Orlando right now, Kevin, although the Magic are a lot more talented, I think, on paper than the Heat, but very hard to trust because of what has happened to them in the second half of the season. The odds are telling us that the Magic on paper tomorrow night are better than the Philadelphia 76ers. It's probably going to be a pick'em game before it goes off. I got to tell you, Kevin, if the Magic win and they get into the NBA playoffs, I think they could win a game or two. That's the funny thing. Like, they're talented enough to do it, but there's no trust whatsoever with them at this point after they can't beat a Celtics team that didn't even start any of their guys yesterday.
Yeah, the irony being if they do beat Philly, they will then play a series against Boston. I think for Orlando, it's funny because they didn't only throw off their own plans, but I think part of the reason Atlanta benched everybody against Miami was playing starters. No 100% guarantee you win in Miami with your guys, but your result didn't matter. If you lost and Toronto won, you were still going to be the 5 seed as long as the Magic beat the Celtics. And instead, the Cavs end up with the Raptors, and they're the biggest round 1 favorites. And the Knicks end up with the Hawks in a much tighter series through the numbers here, Craig. So can Orlando beat Philly? Yes. But I even think Charlotte's got thrown off a little bit here because I think Charlotte would have been a bigger favorite against Philly in a 7-8 game than they would Orlando. They're now supposed to play Orlando. But if you do play Philly, you'd have to beat them for a second consecutive home game. It's a taller task. So the Magic really threw some things in disarray here with that loss to Boston.
Yeah, I agree. So that being said, let's preview one of the matchups coming this weekend, and it will be Knicks-Hawks, as you mentioned. Hawks are only plus 230 because of the way that they have played, really since that trade of Trae Young, honestly. I definitely think the Knicks are the better team in this series, but I don't think that this is a 4-game or maybe even 5-game series, Kevin. I feel like the Hawks are going to win a couple here.
Yeah, I think especially after what we saw from the Knicks last postseason. Now, that's a postseason that includes a run to the conference finals, beating Boston on the way there, but an opening round series against a young Piston team where we thought this is going to be Knicks the whole way. It went 6 and was incredibly close. The Knicks, in 3 of the 4 wins in that series, by 2, by 1, by 3. So you saw the Knicks play some close games. They just played a really close game with Atlanta. I would favor the Knicks as the books do. One avenue, Craig, I like to walk down very frequently when the postseason gets set up are the series-long leaders, points, rebounds, threes, assists.
Yep.
Those numbers are not out yet, but you can always start to try and canvas those markets. I want to see Jalen Johnson's price to lead this series in rebounds. We know what Cat can do on the boards, was second in the NBA, only behind Jokic in terms of rebounds. There could be some up and down within Cat's game when the postseason comes around. I think Jalen Johnson could be a bit steadier. We might get a nice plus money.
Real quick, the series that no one will watch, Kevin, they're going to bury these games. Raps and Cavs Saturday at 1 o'clock. No offense. I mean, I know that both teams are good, but let's just call it what it is. I mean, this is the least scintillating television series in the NBA playoffs.
No, it's
right
fair.
now.
It's totally fair. We'll see if the Cavs actually show up focused for the series because the numbers say it should be a sweep or 5.
Thanks again, Kev. We'll see you later. Appreciate it.
You got it.
That we are seeing now multiple states propose, not just prop bet bans, but getting rid of online sports betting altogether really shows kind of the pushback that the industry is facing right now and kind of the crisis it has to make sure in the public spotlight that it's being viewed accurately and that it's working with lawmakers on, common sense proposals.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Learning that even though the Jays, Brady went to the World Series last year, they're not like one of those automatic teams. Like I consider the Yankees automatic, Dodgers automatic. That really might be it. Maybe not even the Mets. Just like think teams you can kind of count on. They're not going to lose to Colorado. They're not going to lose to the White Sox. Those type of teams.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Scotty Scheffler, the best golfer in the world. How many majors will he win this year? And if he does get 4, Joe, that's currently trading at 3 cents. So a $100 investment actually only pays back $333 at this point, which is kind of insane when you ask him to win all 4. Joe, I told you already, sticking to my guns. $100 investment on no majors. None over the next 4 this year.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
You build teams in the second, third, and fourth round, right, Donnie? Yeah. That's where you build. That's where you get the depth. That's where you build the team. So teams looking for draft capital very much could be alive and well in this draft coming up because there's just nobody to mortgage the future for because you need your franchise guy. They're just not in this draft.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to NewsWire here on Sports Grid. Very peculiar incident yesterday. If you were watching the Red Sox play on television or streaming, one of their cameras went down in the game against the St. Louis Cardinals, and the entire game was broadcast from a dugout camera. That view right there was your view of the entire game from Nesson on the Red Sox broadcast. How bizarre there. Now, naturally, these things usually don't happen, or you can even pivot over to another team's broadcast, but with all the different rights holders and everything involved, I guess that this was the best that Boston could do, at least in this one game situation. Naturally, things like these usually don't happen more than once a season. I would guess it won't happen again. All right, as we wrap up the show, we will talk a little golf, a feat that Rory McIlroy accomplished at the expense of an NFL team. Also a streak for Mikal Bridges in the NBA, and the Seattle Mariners make fun of themselves. That and a whole lot more in this edition of Last Licks. One of the very best players in the history of the game, Hall of Famer Ichiro Suzuki, was honored by the Seattle Mariners in the best way possible. They made a statue of Ichiro that they're putting outside the stadium. And in fact, what happened was they were revealing the statue, and during the reveal, Ichiro's bat broke on the statue. How does this even happen if this is a bronze statue? I have no idea. But what was funny about it was the Seattle Mariners responded with a social media post that showed that they were going to alter their giveaway of this Ichiro statue, funnily enough, with a broken bat from the statue on the little figurine. Hysterical move here, and really good self-deprecating move, I think, from the organization to show that, hey, sometimes we screw up. Naturally, by now, the bat is fixed on Ichiro statue, is my understanding. And of course, they're not going to give away something at a game that is broken. Although we've all been there before, right? Like with these giveaways at games and something is broken, we've got them home and like, wow, what the heck? Ichiro Suzuki, really, really funny moment, I think, there for the organization. All right, meanwhile, Mikal Bridges, he played for 23 seconds against the Charlotte Hornets and then was subbed out this weekend to keep his streak of 638 games played. That's the longest active streak in the National Basketball Association. But get this, Bridges played 166 consecutive games in college, 638 NBA regular season games, and every single playoff game for the Knicks. Wow, congrats to Mikal Bridges, the Iron Man of the NBA. Does this put him in the Cal Ripken category? I don't think so. Because 638 is only, 8 times 6, 4? Yeah, it's several years. But no, not quite Cal Ripken, who played every single game from, I believe, 1981 all the way through the late 90s. Crazy streak for Cal Ripken. But great job by Mikal Bridges nonetheless. All right, now, as you know by now, Rory McIlroy, he won the Masters, right? And now this is back-to-back Masters for Rory McIlroy. But it was very funny to see the social media post from Sleeper yesterday. And I think I saw FanDuel posted today as well, which is kind of weird, right? Isn't it weird that both of those social media companies have nothing to do with one another posted? But I digress. Rory McIlroy has won 2 Masters green jackets since the New York Jets had an interception. How can this possibly be? The last Jets interception, the New York Jets, I know it's not football season, but let's do a little football. The last time they had a pick, December 22nd, 2024, I was at this game, actually. How about that? I was at this game. Ashton Davis against the Miami Dolphins. I remember being there at this game. But that is crazy. 2 years since they've had a pick. I would guess that this is something that they probably have to work on this offseason, maybe getting a turnover or two. Jets probably going to be going through it again. But the good news for them is that the Dolphins are going to be a lot worse than them. So maybe there's an opportunity there for an interception in the 2026 season. We'll see. All right, that'll do it for the show today. Fantastic job by all, and great job by our guests as well. Gilbert McGregor of Phoenix Sports. He'll be covering the Suns all the way throughout the playoffs. Jared Hochman breaking down some baseball with us, and our very own Kevin Walsh of SportsGrid. Don't forget, you can always check out our programming just by streaming our shows. If you're new to SportsGrid for whatever reason, just download the SportsGrid app. Take out your phone, scan this QR code. It's available for both iOS and Android, and also you can track all of your bets and get you caught up on all of the different stories and sports musings that we have here on Sports Grid, social media posts by our great social media team as well. All right, that'll do it for our Monday edition of the show. Thanks again to Tommy on the directing side and Frank on the graphic side, and of course on the producing side. Thanks so much to Chris. I'm Craig Mish. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday and Monday evening, and we'll be back tomorrow to preview those NBA play-in games and get you ready for an upcoming NFL draft spectacular here on Sports Grid. Have a great Monday, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow here on NewsWire.
That we are seeing now multiple states propose, not just prop bet bans, but getting rid of online sports betting altogether really shows kind of the pushback that the industry is facing right now, and kind of the crisis it has to make sure in the public spotlight that it's being viewed accurately, and that it's working with lawmakers on common sense proposals.
NewsWire, only on Sports Grid.
Quickly learning that even though the Jays, Brady went to the World Series last year, they're not like one of those automatic teams. Like I consider the Yankees automatic, Dodgers automatic. That really might be it. Maybe not even the Mets. Just like think teams you can kind of count on. They're not going to lose to Colorado. They're not going to lose to the White Sox. Those type of teams.
In-game live, only on Sports Grid.
Scotty Scheffler, the best golfer in the world. How many majors will he win this year? And if he does get four, Joe, that's currently trading at 3 cents. So a $100 investment actually only pays back $333 at this point, which is kind of insane when you ask him to win all four. Joe, I told you already, sticking to my guns. $100 investment on no majors. None over the next 4 this year.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on Sports Grid.
You build teams in the second, third, and fourth round, right, Donnie? Yeah. That's where you build. That's where you get the depth. That's where you build the team. So teams looking for draft capital very much could be alive and well in this draft coming up, because there's just nobody to mortgage the future for, because you need your franchise guy. They're just not in this draft.
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.